No worries.
touch on the crypto issue. So let's understand first and foremost what crypto is, right? For anybody who's maybe new to investing or new to crypto, unlike stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and other things you can buy in the stock market that have underlying value, crypto is not a thing that exists, right? It's just a currency. So it's a lot more like trading Forex or trading not even trading, but investing in gold and investing in silver. Even those have like underlying value, right? It's really more like Forex than anything else. And the fact that there isn't really an underlying asset that we can analyze its value in most cases. Now, there are some exceptions. There are types of crypto coins that have been created that have a certain utility to them besides just being a currency. And so when we look at, and we're going to be actually doing a training on this, so I won't do a deep dive on it right now, but when we look at our intro to the stock market, right, the step we use to determine what to buy is called fundamental analysis, okay? It's also, I call it evaluating investments, right? And when we open the AI prompt, you'll notice, let's come over to the AI prompt for a second, that we do actually have a tab here for crypto. Come on, load. Where's my wait music? Do. Okay, good. And so there are specific questions we want to be asking ourselves or ChatGPT when we're evaluating crypto versus evaluating stocks or ETFs or like other types of investments. And one of the biggest ones is what we call tokenomics, right? Tokenomics is basically like how an understanding of the coin itself, right? Because like buying Bitcoin is not the same as buying Solana, whatever the other one is, right? It's not the same
Solana,
as,
I think.
thank you. Yeah, XRP, like all of these are completely different currencies. And so it's sort of like the difference between, trading the US dollar versus trading, I don't know, the pounds or something, right? Like they're totally different from each other. And so we tend to mush them all into like, oh, should I invest in crypto? It's almost the wrong question, right? It's like, which exact coin are you thinking about investing in, and then understanding its tokenomics. So all you really want to do is just the same thing we always do, right? Which is like insert this prompt into ChatGPT and then insert the exact one, right? The exact coin or currency that you're thinking about investing in and do your analysis of that coin, right? And then what are we trying to do, right? Well, what we're always trying to do is buy low, sell high, or what I like to call buy designer value brands at clearance prices. So the first question we always want to ask ourselves, which is that fundamental question, right? Fundamental analysis is there value here at all? Does this have the ability to grow and scale? Is it going to become more widely used? And honestly, that's a lot of the time a judgment call, right? But doing the fundamental analysis will actually help you determine the answer to that question.
So have you I guess the whole cash, I really would love it if at some point you do a training. I don't know if this is in the scope of this or not, but there's with digital currency, it's gonna be the norm here in the next couple of years, and I'm hearing cash is on the out, and it's really scary because it's what is happening, and is cash going to be obsolete and the value of the dollar be up? Because I hear that they're just draining the dollar right now, and with inflation and everything. So there's just a lot of things economically that are concerning me right now that I don't have enough knowledge about, that I just would love to hear your input on, if it is something that you would offer later in the calls or something.
Yeah, 100%. So the first thing I will say is I made a lesson on understanding the economy. And that lesson will really answer a lot of your questions about what's happening right now to the US dollar, because this is actually cyclic. It's not a shocking, oh my God, nobody predicted this. Many people have predicted this, and it is 100% cyclic. Our every country on earth has gone through this cycle multiple times. Unfortunately, it tends to happen only once a generation and not always in the same place on the planet. But if you watch that training and if you read books like Principles by Ray Dalio, like there's a lot of very well-respected financiers who can tell you exactly why the US dollar has been losing value recently. I do want to make something clear. And this is where, Michelle, it's terminology matters, right? So I want to make something really clear. It's not cash that is being devalued. It's the US dollar. It's our currency, right? So like, is cash going away? Yeah, cash has kind of been going away since like the invention of the debit card. You know what I mean? Like people don't usually carry cash anymore, but that doesn't mean that cash became less value, or rather, it doesn't mean the US dollar became less valuable. It's just that people were carrying it around on their debit cards. And so technically, the US dollar has become as much a cryptocurrency as any other cryptocurrency, right? Like the only difference between the US dollar and crypto is that the US dollar is backed by the US government. And so what's happening right now is that there is globally a concern about our country and the way it's being managed economically. And so that is lowering global investors' perceived value of the US dollar. And so we're seeing that in Forex exchanges. For anybody who doesn't know what Forex is, it's foreign exchange, right? And so if I go to Mexico with my dollars and I go to a foreign exchange, booth or whatever at the airport, they're going to give me so many pesos for my dollars. Well, that number has been sliding recently because of the US's foreign policy. Okay, so this is where we have, as investors, we call this legislative risk. Okay, it's the risk that policy changes in our country, because they change every 4 years, right, will cause impacts to our economy and cause impacts to how the global investors view the US dollar. So that's called legislative risk. It's a risk we always have because we're a democracy and we change our ruler every 4 years, right? That's just always been. Unfortunately, this last year and a half or so has been a lot of setting foreign policy that punishes or attacks other organizations around the world, right? Other nations, in order to get them to comply with what the US is asking for, right? And that behavior has caused certain countries, not every country on earth, but certain countries that are first world countries, not just third world countries, right? But certain first world countries to go, we're not so interested in buying from the US anymore because now there's going to be higher fees for that, right? And we're not so interested in investing in the US anymore. And that's causing people to move away from the US dollar globally. So yes, our currency has gone down slightly in its exchange value. But the question you have to ask yourself is, right, our current administration will only be around for a couple more years, right? So when you're making an investment decision, the first question is always, right? Let's share the screen really fast and show this to you guys. What is our first question? It's never, what should I invest in, right? Our first question is always, what is my goal for this investment? Because if my goal for this investment is I want to make a quick win in the next 3 days, I'm going to invest in something completely different than if my first thought is I want this investment to help me retire 20 years from now, right? Those are two totally different goals. And so I'm going to invest in two totally different things and invest in two totally different strategies. So being clear for yourself on, like, let's say you took, as an example, Michelle, you said you have money in your 401k. Okay, so 401k is just a shopping cart, right? What's inside that shopping cart is what's going to grow. And I don't know what's in your shopping cart, right? But let's just say, for example, everything in your shopping cart is US owned companies. Well, guess what? This year, that's probably going to go down a little, right? But the question you have to ask yourself is, did those companies lose money right? This is where we do our designer piece pick. We do our fundamental analysis. Did the fundamental economic strength of those companies change? Or was it just the US dollar? Because if those companies retained value and actually had profit this year, maybe we don't care about the fact that it dipped a little bit. In fact, maybe we treat it like our favorite shoe store just went on sale. You see, right? And go buy more while you can, right? Or if those companies, the things you have in the shopping cart, if they're bleeding money, they're like running in the red, they're putting out earning reports because they all have to, right? They're publicly owned. So they put out their earning reports and you're going, wow, these guys are really slipping, and you're seeing some red flags, then maybe it is time to go, I might want to sell at a loss, take the hit, also enjoy the tax break that comes with having a loss and put that into something that is growing, right? And maybe even invest outside the US so that we are not stuck having everything in our shopping cart tied to the US dollar, right? And that's where you can look at gold, you can look at silver, you can look at crypto, you can look at, foreign exchanges, places where, like look at things like Mitsubishi, Toyota, right? Like what are some brands that you buy from every day or that you love already that are not US based companies, right? And so again, this is something that is very nuanced and you have to understand the whole formula. But once you understand the whole formula, what's happening right now makes total sense. And it's actually a great wealth building opportunity, not necessarily something that's scary. It's actually like this is the time when millionaires are made. Does that make sense? Okay. Did I answer your question?
Oh my goodness, yes. I love how you break it down and make it so relatable. So yeah, I mean, I look forward to learning more about this stuff. Thank you.
Wait. Yeah. Glad you asked the question. Okay. Let's jump to Shannon. Hey Shannon, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. All right. How are you doing with your money engine stuff? Making progress?
Slowly but surely.
Okay. Good.
So I just figured out that I need some sort of, when people inquire about a mural, I'm going to need a email sequence for that. And so that's my next thing. But Joy Club launches on Saturday. So I'm currently doing that stuff.
So excited. Okay. Let me know if you want me to take a look at any of your launch materials. I'm happy to review them. Okay. VIP
yes.
and all that.
Yes, cool. Yes.
Any immediate questions?
I don't think so.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Okay. Well, Michelle had a perfect segue into the topic we're going to talk about today anyway. So thank you, Michelle, for making this super easy for me.
You're welcome.
Yeah, but what I wanted to train on was actually the fundamental analysis, otherwise known as my designer piece pick formula. So, I'm just going to do one more little recap really fast to kind of orient anybody who was maybe tuning out because it wasn't their question. I don't know about you, but I do that sometimes on group calls. So if we look at our fear to fierce financial formula, right? The first thing we're doing is just trying to get into a state of overflow, which means, hey, I make more than I spend, right? I have extra cash every month, even if it's $5. Like I want to have some kind of overflow, right? And then the moment you get there, we want to start investing. And the truth is, a lot of times women are like, well, I still need to set up my estate plan. I still need to pay off all my debt. I still need to do all these other things. And it's true, you do need to do all those other things. But the power of compound interest is that time matters more than strategy. Okay. So like if we can just add more time that you've had money in the market, you will make more money. It's almost impossible not to, because the market is cyclic. Even if the money goes down a little bit in the short term, overall, since its inception, the market has gone up. Okay. So if we can just start putting money in, it can make a really big difference. And I recently found this app that I think is so cute. I've been playing around with it recently. It's called Griffin, Grifin, looks like that. And the way it works, oops, it wants my passcode, sorry. The way it works is it connects to your bank account. And then every time you buy something, it invests $1 in the company you just bought from. So I have, don't judge, but I have like, I now have about $15 in Starbucks. I've got a bunch of money at Walmart. I've got a bunch of money in, even Amex, right? Like every company that we buy from, a lot of them are publicly owned companies. So instead of constantly spending money at them, why don't we invest in them as well, right? So it's just $1. It wouldn't work if I didn't have extra cash, right? That's why being an overflow matters first. But if you've got a few extra dollars and you're not really sure what to invest in, why not start investing in the companies you buy from every day anyway, right? So that was one thing I wanted to share with you guys. It's called Griffin, Grifin. I don't have an affiliate link for it or anything. You'll just want to download the app. That I found it on TikTok. But I've been checking it out for about a month or two now. And it's really fun. It's just, there's zero strategy to it. It's just going to invest $1 in any company you buy from every time you do. So also be aware of the fact that if you have a lot of spending that you do, this could add up quickly. And you might want to turn it off after a while if it's starting to spend too much of your money on investing. But it's been a lot of fun. So my point is that, like, even if that's all you do, if you don't learn anything else yet because you're too busy on your business, you're too busy with life, you're too busy with everything else, just get something going. And what we call that, when we just start investing like the same amount on a regular basis with zero other strategy involved in picking what we're going to invest in, that's called dollar cost averaging, also known as DCAing into a stock. So I'm going to DCA into Starbucks, meaning every time I go and buy a coffee, I'm going to invest $1 in their stock. It's called DCA, dollar cost averaging. Okay. So that's like the most basic, simple investing strategy you can get. Now, on the flip side, we have, or I would say right in the middle, we have, opening a 401k, having someone manage it for you, right? And you just take a percentage out of every paycheck, right? This works really well if you have W-2 income. It also works really well if you build your business up to the point like we have where we're on salary, right? Like we take a salary and you're required by the IRS to take a reasonable salary from your company anyway, if you're electing as an S Corp or if you have a C corporation, right? So I'm going to be on salary. I might as well make the company also have benefits. And one of those benefits can be a 401k or, an IRA. And then you just take a percentage of your salary every month and you put it into that and let somebody else manage it. And that is totally fine. The cons to having someone else manage it are, one, you have to normally have a minimum to invest before anyone will be interested in managing it, right? If you've only got like $5, it's gonna be really hard to find someone to manage that for you, right? A lot of financial advisors who are wealth managers, like at Edward Jones, Charles Schwab, etc., they're really only interested in working with you on a one-on-one basis if you have $250,000 or more. So you want to have like 250,000 or more in investments. So one thing I thought when I first got started, I was like, just started with DCA, just like throwing money into companies I already bought from all the time anyway, and didn't really have any strategy. And then I started looking at having someone manage my wealth for me. And then I had this thought and I was like, if I have to get good enough at this to build my portfolio up to $250,000, why would I pay you after that? Like, why don't I just learn how to do it myself? And that thought changed my life completely, right? Because I started learning how to actually evaluate investments myself. And it's a lot easier than people think. And I think that we're often intimidated by the words, right? There's words, there's abbreviations that we don't understand. And what happens with our mind is we see a word or a symbol we don't understand and we bounce off the subject. You ever find yourself like dedicatedly trying to study something and all of a sudden you're scrolling social media and you're like, how the fuck did I end up doing this? Have you ever had that experience while you're studying? I know I have. And the reason why that happens is because there's words or symbols you don't understand. And that was why I created Izzy, right? Izzy is our investor dictionary. You can find her when you come here to the classroom section and click on Start Here and go to Resources and Links. and it says Access Izzy, the investing dictionary. And I recently just updated your access so that it not only will give you access to her right here, but you also get a bunch of prompts and instructions of how to use her. So there's basic prompts for just like, what does this word mean? And then there's also like investing strategy prompts, please explain this to me in plain English. So like, what is DCAing in investing, and explain it in plain English, right? What is dollar cost averaging? So you could, get a little bit more specific. And then also risk and decision making. So like Michelle, right? Like, here's what I have in my portfolio. I'm trying to decide what I should do with this. And you might want to ask Izzy questions like, what risks are people usually referring to when they talk about crypto or when they talk about whatever, right? Whatever you already have in your shopping cart right now. And then lastly, secondary prompts. And these are really, really valuable because sometimes you won't fully understand the output, right? Like you'll ask her a question, she answers it, and you're like, I think I got it. These are questions you can ask Izzy to really, really get what she's talking about. Can you explain this again in simpler, easier language? Please remove any jargon and re-explain this. This is my favorite one. I use this one all the time. Can you explain this like two girlfriends talking over coffee? Okay. Also adding context, slowing it down, etc. Okay. So all of these are accessible to you inside the community. And I wanted to kind of walk you through an example of us evaluating something. So put something in the chat and I'll take your suggestions. It can be a cryptocurrency, it can be a stock, a company you've been thinking about investing in. We're going to stay away from real estate in this example. So it has to be something I can buy in the stock exchange. Okay, let's do this one, XRP. Okay, so let's get her open. And what we're going to do is we're going to come over here. Like I said before, we're going to go into Intro to the Stock Market. And it's this lesson right here, Evaluating Investments. We're going to grab that AI prompt. Okay, so we already have it open since we were talking about it earlier. So let's go to our AI prompts. In this example, we're going to want this crypto. And the instructions for how to do this are right here. But basically, all we're going to do is just going to enter prompt 1 into ChatGPT, into Izzy, right? We don't want to just use regular ChatGPT because if you do regular ChatGPT, you're going to get something super duper Wall Street bro language. Okay, that's not what we want. So let's chat with Izzy. Actually, would you guys like to see a comparison, or is that just like overwhelming? Have I sold you already that we need Izzy? Give me a 1 in the chat if you want to see a comparison. Give me a 2 if you're like, nope, I'm sold. We'll just use Izzy.
Izzy.
Izzy? Okay, fine. All right, we're going to use Izzy. I like doing the comparison because I'm super proud of myself for building this. Okay, let's go in. So she's going to ask us what term we want to define, but instead of a term, we're going to give her a whole entire prompt. So here I am. Sorry, I'm jumping back and forth here, but I just want to show this to you. So we're going to copy the whole thing. Don't just copy one question at a time. Want to take the entire thing, and then we're going to come back to Izzy, and we're going to paste it here. But before we hit go, we have to find this right here and replace it. Which one were we doing first? We were doing XLM. Good. And she's going to do her little analysis. Okay, so first thing is plain English overview of what it is. And remember, we can use our secondary prompts all we want. So let's get the secondary prompts ready of like, can you make this even simpler for me? Okay, so let me show you how we do that. So I'm reading about it. So the name of XLM is just its ticker symbol, right? What its actual name is Stellar Lumens. It's a cryptocurrency of the Stellar Network. So again, maybe I don't know what the Stellar Network is, right? What? Right? Digital money highway that helps people and companies send money across borders fast, cheap, and in any currency instead of using slow, expensive bank transfers. So guess what? I just learned that this crypto is not just another like meme coin, right? This is one of the crypto that actually has real life utility. So I want you guys to get your fingers ready because I'm going to really want you to engage here. Is that green flag or red flag for investing? The fact that this coin has actual real world utility. Is that a green flag or a red flag for investing? Michelle says it's a great flag. Okay, good. I'm going to take that as green. Good. Okay, so we've got 2 green flags. All right, let's keep going. So lets you do it in seconds with tiny fees using its blockchain. Now, again, maybe some of you don't know what a blockchain is, so let's just define that. What? A blockchain is like a digital notebook that everyone can see, but no one can secretly erase or mess with. So this is one of the most original reasons why crypto was created at all, was because the original creator, right? I think it was Bitcoin was the very first one, was like, we really need to have like full transparency of what's happening with our currency. And that was one of his reasons for creating crypto, was like, let's have a currency where everyone can see what everyone else is doing with the money, right? So it's great because it helps to combat terrorism. It helps to combat, like, drug cartels and things like that, if it were used that way. Unfortunately, that's not how it's been used, but that was the original idea of a blockchain. Okay. All right. So let's go back up again. What are we doing with our fundamental analysis? We're trying to understand, does this thing have underlying value? And if so, what is that value? And is it priced right for the value, right? That's what we're trying to understand here. So let's take a look. It's a public open source blockchain built to help people, businesses, and financial institutions send value around the world quickly and cheaply. Unlike coins like Bitcoin that are mostly for storing value, Stellar's goal is practical money movement. So again, they're trying to make it easy to send money overnight. Cool. Okay, so how it works. So tokenomics, again, is just like that particular coin. How does it work, right? And also, whose owns it, right? Who created it? Where is it working? So it has a fixed total supply. So one of the things some of you may not know about crypto is that some cryptocurrencies have announced that they're going to like release a certain number of coins at certain milestones or stages as they scale their business. Others, like Bitcoin, had one amount and it will never be any more than that, which is why they've grown in value so much, is because there's a limited supply, right? So their process here, they're saying, is that they are, like Bitcoin, going to have a fixed total supply. That's the most that will ever happen. 65% is currently in circulation. So most of the coins are out in the world. There's no mining. All of it was created at the beginning. So for anybody who doesn't know what Bitcoin mining is, the way Bitcoin was set up was, hey, we have this many coins. These many are going to be released to the public instantaneously. These ones are only going to be available. Thanks, Michelle. These other smaller amount is only going to be available for people who complete certain tasks on the blockchain to make Bitcoin more accessible and to make our community better. So it's almost like, you guys know the engagement challenges that I run, where I'm like, hey, if you guys all contribute to this, and I'm going to release a course. Bitcoin mining is similar to that, where the founders were like, hey, if you do these certain tasks to help make Bitcoin better, you're going to get Bitcoin. That's what mining is. So it's simply saying that XRP does not have mining, okay? They did add tokens, but that mechanism was removed years ago. So there's no way for them to like continue to add tokens like that. They're just releasing tokens over time. A large chunk is still owned by them. Okay, scarcity mechanics. Here's what I want to know. So there's no okay, so they don't have a way to keep it really scarce by, there's this thing called token burning or staking. In other words, they're not going to just like delete some to hold inflation down. Well, that's fine. That's not something they're planning to do. And this is what its purpose is. Okay, so from everything we're learning, here's some green flags that I see. Okay. And you guys can totally have your own opinion. You can do your own research. But as far as tokenomics go, having a fixed total supply is a green flag, because that means that it's scarce, and that means that it will grow over time so long as its basic purpose is achieved. So for me, if I was thinking about investing this, I would be writing down the question for myself right now and making sure I answer that question by the time I'm done with my fundamental analysis of what are some usage cases proving that it has the utility that it says it will have. Because there are other crypto coins out there that claim to also be a bridge currency, right? Like a way to send money across country lines, right? Without having to go through exchanges. That's really what it's saying it will do. Well, are there any case studies yet showing that it does do that? Or how easy is it to actually use this coin? Has it actually been used in the real world? And if it hasn't yet, then I would say that its value is still unproven. But if it has, then the fact that it also has a fixed supply tells me that it's going to inflate in value. Okay. If I'm confusing anybody and we're going over your head, please let me know. Are we all still good? Give me some thumbs up if you're like, I kind of get this. Yes? Okay.
Can we ask Izzy, like, are there real life examples of utilizing it in that way?
Yep, but she might have already answered it. Oh, yeah. See, look, here's our next step: adoption and real world use. So who's using it? Yeah. So, and then there's a source here. So I would also go read this. Stellar works with PayPal, Franklin Templeton. Wow, MoneyGram. Good. So they've gotten some pretty big names to adopt them, which is a good sign. And we can even ask a secondary question here, right? Let's use one of our secondary prompts. Why does this concept matter in real life? Yeah, so here's the problem that they're solving. So Stellar solves that. Some people don't even have banks. Okay, cool. So they're still saying they can. How many real world usage cases are there so far? How many people have adopted XLM? Oops. And started actually using it versus just investing in it. Okay, yeah, it says it's powering actual financial services. Mhm. So there's multiple concrete real world applications. Depending on how much money I was going to put in this, Michelle, I would probably go actually read some of these sources, these articles, right? And see like some of the real examples and be like, how utilitarian is this? But if I was going to put like $5 in it, I probably wouldn't do that much work. So really depends on like, remember we've talked in the past about portfolio balancing, right? Like how much of my total portfolio am I going to put in this thing? There's a direct ratio between that and how much effort I'm going to put into the fundamental analysis. Because if I'm only putting a small amount, or it's a relatively small amount compared to the rest of my portfolio, and just using it to diversify, then the only things I really need to know is like, what are some red flags and green flags I might want to look out for in headlines when I'm doing Finance Friday to make sure that this is not going to suddenly tank and I didn't know it. Or I want to understand it well enough to be able to tell when it's about to go up or down, right? But if I'm thinking about putting like, 40 to 60% of my entire portfolio in here, then I would actually go do like some in-depth research about what is the likelihood that XLP is going to take off in the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, how much of the market share of, like look at their competition, right? They've got, oh gosh, what's the name of that company that you always use when you're sending money overseas? I can't think of it right now, but like Western they have
Union.
Yeah, Western Union is obviously a competitor of theirs. Like go look at their competition and do that. It's going to do it in a minute, right? We probably already did up here our competition analysis. But those are some of the things I would be asking myself if this was a long-term move for me. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Cool. Okay, so now we're getting into our SWOT analysis where we're doing strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, right? So its strength is it has ultra low fees, probably, similar to Western Union. Fast settlement, that's actually really nice. And also I've struggled with some of my NGO in very small African countries, they struggle even to get to a Western Union. So the fact that you could do like phone to phone transfers, that's also a strength that they don't seem like they're mentioning here. Yeah, real world assets, cross border settlements. Again, those are strengths. It's it's nowhere near bigger players. They still own a big share of tokens, which sometimes investors worry about. So there is a unfortunately kind of common scam in crypto where teams of like, IT nerds will get together and create a coin, but they'll hold on to a majority of them. And then once it hits a certain level, they'll just shut down the project and take all their profit and like walk away with all the money. So that is why people sometimes worry when the team themselves holds the majority of tokens. So that to me is a red flag. And I would want to go research the team. Sometimes the team's also anonymous. Like to me, that's another huge red flag. Because remember, the SEC, which is the Securities Exchange Commission, which is who monitors me and make sure I don't give financial advice, right? They're the ones who monitor everything. They do not have control of crypto. So when teams are staying anonymous or they're holding on to majority of the coins, that's a really big red flag. Opportunities, they have growing demand. That's good. Partnerships with global firms like we saw, right? PayPal is allowing you to send money through them, et cetera, with these guys. This is a good thing. Regulation tightening, I'm not as worried about that for this. Other blockchains chasing payments, yeah, so they do have some competition. So again, I would go research this a little bit if I was going to put a lot of money here and find out who's their competition, right? Because a big part of investing in any thing that we want to grow is what we know as a moat. So a moat in business is the thing that makes it impossible for your competitors to compete with you, right? So like you may know that there are other finance coaches in the world besides me, right? But I have protected my IP in many cases, right? Lots of my method and the way I talk about things is not something that someone could steal without me legally being able to take action. And also I just have my personality, right? I tend to approach things very differently, right? So again, thanks, Kim, for coming. Those are the types of things that are my moat. What is theirs, right? So we want to know, this right here is a red flag for investing in them because what they're trying to do is not unique, right? Like Western Union's already done it for decades. So what is their what prevents some other IT team from just coming along and doing the same thing and maybe even doing it better, right? So those are the kinds of things that I look at. So from everything I'm seeing here, there are some big red flags that I would want to get answers to before I invested, but there's also some green flags. Like I said, it's being used. It's been adopted by PayPal. To me, that means something. Same with Franklin Templeton. These are not small companies and they've adopted it and allowed it to be traded in their space. So those are, pretty good signs. But for a long-term project, the red flags, like I said, of are they an anonymous team? Can I actually see who owns it, right? They own a majority. Why are they holding on to so many? I would want those questions answered before I made like a major investment personally. So anyway, those are my answers. And Michelle, do you have any other questions?
That was really cool. No, that was awesome to see it in action. Thank you.
Awesome. Cool. Well, I hope everybody learned something. And I would absolutely love it if you would practice this skill maybe once this week and let me know what happens. Because like I said, I'm writing the book. I want to make sure that the way I'm teaching this is really helpful to you and it breaks it down enough that it makes it easily applicable. Okay. So if you could do me that favor, let me know. You can email me or text me or whatever is the easiest way for you to tell me that you used it and what the results were. And if you run into any bugs, like, I really can't figure this out, let me know that too. All right. I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a great week.
You too.